All right, guys, this is part 2 of day 1. This is just a little tutorial note-taking video to help you through what a reflection is if you're not sure how to complete the task for the day. So hopefully this is helpful, and let's go ahead and jump in. So a reflection is a flip. So a reflection is a flip over a line called the line of reflection. Okay, so we're flipping. Kind of like in a mirror. Like when you look in the mirror, it's a mirror image, a flipped image of yourself. Okay, so it's a line of reflection. Each point and its image are the same distance from that line of reflection. So that's a helpful piece of information, because in order to do the reflection, you just got to remember that each point in the shape or in the figure is equidistant. So like here, however far C is away from the line of reflection, it's going to be the same distance on the other side. The same for B and the same for A. They're going to be the exact same length away from that line of reflection. Okay? Possible lines of reflection. We're going to look at 3 types today. You could have the x-axis or the y-axis, which is the most common. You could have vertical and horizontal lines, like y equals some number, k, like any number, or x equals some number. Okay, so those are going to be, you could have a line of reflection that way. Or you could have the diagonal lines. You could have y equals positive x or y equals negative x. And we'll look at each one of those in more detail here in the next few minutes. If you look at the first practice, we have a triangle ABC with the vertices A, B, and C listed. We're going to go ahead and graph those first. So we go to the center in the origin and we go -4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and up 2. And that's going to be our point A. Point B is at 4, 7, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and then up to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That is B. And C is at 5, 1. So back to the center, to the right, 5, and up 1. And that's point C. Then you can connect those dots to make your triangle, and that's your pre-image, okay? Then you want to look at and kind of highlight your line of reflection. It wants us to use the x-axis. Well, the x-axis is this horizontal line going across our graph. So we want to be equidistant from that. So if you look at point A is 2 units above the line of reflection. So for point A prime, I'm going to go 2 units below the line of reflection. Point B is 7 units above the line of reflection. So point B prime is going to be 7 units below. And then C is 1 above the line of reflection, so it will be 1 below. And then you can see that when you connect the dots, you have that reflected mirror image of that triangle. Now the coordinates you can actually get pretty quickly. If you look at these coordinates, the coordinate of A prime is actually -4, -2. The coordinate of B prime is at 4, -7, and C prime is at 5, -1. So I hope that you're seeing that the only thing, this did not change. My x's did not change, but my y's did change. When I reflect over the x-axis, my y's are going to change because I'm going from the top of the graph to the bottom. When you're in the top, you're in positive y values. When you're in the bottom, you're in negative y values. So those are going to change. When you do the y-axis, so that's this vertical axis, it's going to be a little bit different. Think about what would change here. Well, my positive x's are to the right and my negative x's are to the left, and I'm reflecting over this this y-axis. So if I'm reflecting over the y-axis, the x values are going to change because I'm going from positive x's to negative x's, or vice versa. The second type that you're going to see is a vertical or horizontal line at a certain value. This one says it wants us to reflect over x equals 4. And a lot of times people get this confused because they think x, so they think it's going to be a horizontal line. But that is not the case here, guys. Remember, x equals 4 to the right. So I go 1, 2, 3, 4. X equals 4 right here. And x equals 4 continually up that entire line, okay? So x equals 4 all the way up here to all the way down here. So my line of reflection is at x equals 4. Remember that x equals our vertical lines and y equals our horizontal lines, okay? So we go ahead and we plot that point. J is at 1, -1. So I go to 1, -1 for J. K is at 2, 3. So over to the right 2 and up 3. And then L is to the right 3 and down 2. So we got a teeny tiny triangle here. And we're going to follow that same idea as we did on the last one. You want to be equidistant. So K, as you can see, is 1 unit away from the line of reflection. So K prime will be 1 unit away from the line of reflection. And that point there is at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, -1, 2, 3. So that one's going to be at 5, -3. And then J is 3 units away. So we'll go in the same, in the opposite direction, 3 units. So that's going to be J prime. And that is at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, -1. Then K is 2 units away. So K prime will also be 2 units away. And that point is at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, +3. And those are your, I think this one's actually at -2. I think K is supposed to be at -2, and I think I put it at -3. I did, so that should be up there and up there. But that's kind of how you do that. Just remember equidistant. So if you have any axis, X or Y axis, or Y equals some number, or X equals some number, it's equidistant. You can just count the same distance from that line of reflection. Now, when you get into the Y equals X and the Y equals -X, it's a little bit different. So Y equals X. I want you guys to think about what that looks like. This is a slope-intercept form of a line. My slope here, what would be my slope here? What would be my y-intercept here? Hopefully you noticed that my slope is 1 and my y-intercept is at 0. So this line of reflection would start at 0 and go up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1. And it's that positive line, that positive linear line going through the origin at a +1 slope. Whereas y equals -x is just slightly different. Think to yourself, what is the y-intercept here? What is the slope in this one? Hopefully you notice that the y-intercept is actually the exact same. I don't have anything out here, so my y-intercept is still at 0. But this one has a slope of -1. So this will be going down 1 and over 1, and it will be that diagonal straight line going through the origin at a negative slope. Okay, so if we're looking at this first triangle, XYZ, and we plot X is at -5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, -2, that's going to be X. Y is at -3, 1, 2, 3, +4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And Z is at -1, 1, and that's C. So we have our little triangle there, but this time it wants us to reflect over y equals +x. Well, remember, +x is that diagonal line going at a slope of 1 through the origin. So that's going to be my line of reflection. And I always draw my line of reflection just to help me get a visual. So what I'm doing is flipping that blue triangle over that green line of reflection. Well, there is a pattern that goes with the coordinates of each vertice when you're reflecting over these lines. So what's going to happen is X was at -5, -2. Well, X prime is going to be at -2, -5. All we need to do is flip-flop those coordinates. So if I go to -2, -5, that's going to be X prime. Y prime will be 4, -3. So I go to 4, and then I go down to -3, and that will be Y prime. Then Z prime is going to be 1, -1. And you can see that you have the reflected image across that line. I hope that's helpful. You can try and practice the other one. The next one is just identifying the line of reflection. So running through those really quickly, this is being reflected over this line. It's equidistant, so it's going to be the y-axis. Another way to write that is x equals 0. Okay, this one down here, my line of reflection is the x-axis, or y equals 0. The number 14 up here, you can see that it's going to be going across this diagonal line. So that's going to be at y equals negative x, because that's a declining or decreasing line. So that's the negative x. And then this one, the line of reflection, the r and r prime there are equidistant from this line. Well, that line is where x equals 1, 2, 3, negative 3, because it's to the left. If you have any extra questions on this, please reach out. Please feel free to contact your teacher and get any help that you need. I hope you guys have a great day.